Welcome everyone to the Pantheon. I am Ray.
I'm happy.
And today we're looking at Defenders, the 2017 Netflix series. The showrunners were Douglas Petrie and Marco Ramirez, and it stars an all-star cast. Sigourney Weaver, would headline the show. Charlie Cox as Daredevil, Finn Jones, Jessica Henwick, Rosario Dawson, and Mike Coulter as Luke Cage. There is a huge cast. Even the guy who played Stick, his name escapes me, but like Elodie Young who plays Elektra. There's a huge everybody you've seen from all the main villains and heroes from all the series so far has come together for this one. This is the Avengers for Marvel. This is now the Defenders.
Right.
So, Evie, give us the overview of the show.
Overview of the Defenders' enemy shows up. Jessica Jones start. And there's the, what do you call his name? Luke Cage. And then there's Daredevil as well. And I'm drawing a blank of two more people. Am I missing anybody?
Of what was the first two?
All of the superheroes that joined each other.
Oh, so you got Danny Rand,
Yeah,
Luke Cage,
that's
you
it,
got
yeah.
Jessica Jones, and Matt Murdock.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just had a brain freeze there. So they all show up because the Hand is back. So they all come together, and it turns out that the Hand has actually buried a chemical that's gonna maybe cause an earthquake. What's her name? Elektra is well, she's alive again. There's a battle again with the Hand, and so they come together so there won't be any damage in New York.
Yeah, for me, what the series does well is it brings in together the different ideologies of these characters. Like the first episode, it's just about the characters coming together because they're coming from their own series, so they have to find a common ground. So in the first episode, they're not even formed yet. They're just you're pairing them off with one another, and then as the series progresses in the first 3 episodes, that's when you're forming the group, or the groups are coming together, and they're not getting along, and their ideology is different. So it's like when Danny and Luke first meet, Luke tells him, Danny, I mean, it's not necessarily white privilege, but like you have a great power, you of privilege. You can make more of an effect on the community because of your wealth, and not just from the power of your fist, and not because of the color of your skin. You actually have great power to make a difference, and it's not just being the fist. And so understanding from Luke's perspective, giving Danny for the insight is a creative change. With Jessica Jones and Matt Murdock, Matt's there as her legal attorney because it certainly happens. But like in terms of how they review being a hero, she's very dismissive of it. Jessica Jones is very dismissive of being a hero, whereas Matt caters to it as being kind of a burden. He has kind of addiction. They say it's kind of an addiction for him to be a hero, and so all 4 of these characters look at the idea of being a hero differently. It's all the same thing, but they all 4 come at it from all different perspectives. Yeah. So I find that in itself, in terms of just how on a intellectual level, it's very interesting to see how these characters form, because they don't. I'm not saying they don't get along, but they approach it at a very different perspective, and there is a butting of heads, but in a nice, amicable way. And reviewing the idea, because the superhero films like the Super Friends or like Justice League or whatever, I mean, they have their own dynamic. The Avengers have their own, a bunch of guys who don't belong together but do work together. But this one has a difference in ideology, and that's what I find, from an intellectual perspective, very, very entertaining in that sense. And then so that's where I think it does really, really well in terms of exploring that. and it covers the cross section. So bringing these teams together, and also I think they improved greatly on the Iron Fist character. He's not as whiny as he was in the first season. His fighting choreographed, because you do have the showrunners Ramirez and Petrie, who worked on Daredevil season 2 to work on the fighting choreography to make sure it was like really well done. And so it was, when you get that scene down the hallway, it really does come together with the Iron Fist, with Luke Cage being the shield, and everybody working with each other in pairing.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it really does really come together so much more than it works well because they know their place and how they work with each other. So it's a much better. That's where I think it excels in terms of the performance and the overall look.
Right. I thought what works for me in this film was the martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
It was really exciting, when Elektra came back, she just brought it, whatever, the fighting was good, it wasn't cheesy, it was filmed really well, the actual camera, like on one scene, followed, like that it was filmed. It was just excellently done. Excellently done. And what bored me was, I kind of hate to say it, but that elderly lady.
Oh, Madame Gao?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
She kind of just borrowed. She kind of just, that was a bit boring, I hate to say.
It's interesting about Madame Gao because, throughout this series, she has no one that everyone bows to her.
Yeah.
But in this one, she has someone that she bows to,
Yeah.
that she fears.
Yeah.
And that was surprising. So we knew there was someone above her. And that's
Yeah.
the first time we see her, rescend.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So that was like, oh, so that kind of gives more stakes to Alexander's character. That's
Yeah,
someone,
for sure.
And if you don't know who I'm referring to, then that kind of hopefully that'll make you want to watch Defenders.
Yeah.
But that was for me. In terms of the big picture, like where I see how this goes from here, it sets up the following seasons of shows. So with and also a lot of the side characters, but like going into the characters itself, you have it takes place of Midland Circle. That is ground zero, because it's now Little Rubble. But you end up having the side characters. So like Karen, for instance, she's almost not in dire straits, but she's broken herself from the events of that, and it leads into the Punisher. So her mental state going to the Punisher is based on the events of this.
Yeah.
But then once you get the Punisher, it really quickly takes off, and we kind of forget about what happens in Defenders. With the Clara and Luke, they have a romantic relationship after the fact, so that kind of goes into goes into Luke Cage. Danny Rand is now become the protector of New York City.
Yeah.
So he's taking on more of a mature role, responsibility, and trying to embrace that role he has. With the characters of Trish and Malcolm, the idea of being a hero is now more or their role of being a protector or a citizen or someone who has authority. Malcolm's different. He is a person who works with legal, and he's come through a different cycle of characterizations. Trish, the idea of being a hero worship becomes even more effective on her based on the events of this events and this. So and of course with Jerry Hogarth's firm, it kind of it carries on after the events of Midland Circle. So
Daredevil, what happens to him?
Well, Daredevil we don't know until season 3,
right?
And that's like near the end of all season 2 episodes. However, because of Rand's deciding to become the protector of New York, he's taking the mantle of Daredevil. So like everyone is feeling remorse and loss from the tragic events of Defenders. So there's a great deal of responsibility. Everyone grows up, everyone goes further, and they try to handle them. Okay. Besides Jessica Jones, who's still Jessica Jones, she's very dismissive, everyone else has taken a certain level of responsibility after the events of Defenders.
Right. Yeah.
So their game is now elevated in the aftermath, And then when we get back to Daredevil season 3, it becomes the road to hell for himself.
Sure.
The devil of New York goes through his own little personal hell in redemption, and so that we'll go into that when we do season 3 or 4.
Well, after everything happens. The five characters, no, yeah, 4 or 5 characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're kind of maybe a bit empty,
Mm-hmm.
but like you said, they actually know now that they have responsibilities, and it's time to really grow up.
Exactly.
Right? It's rather than step aside and let whatever happen, which is what they can't do anymore.
Yeah.
Well, they could, but but they kind of realized that they just saved New York, so now they have a responsibility to take care of human beings.
Yeah, and just pick up the slack. Really,
Exactly.
if Danny was self-centered, he's now being more responsible.
Yeah.
If Luke Cage was just thinking of the people of Harlem, he's thinking of the neighborhood. He's thinking
Right.
It's a bigger picture. It's
Exactly.
it's everybody inside Harlem, but also people who are outside of Harlem too. He's got to be
Exactly.
self-aware of it. So I and of course he's finally found his love, a new love in his life. So with Claire, so it's everyone's progressed. It's a
Right.
slightly elevation of characters. So speaking of elevation, if you want to get involved with the show, send us an email at pantheonofm@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts as we're going to be reviewing Phase 3 of Marvel's of the MCU, whether it's Doctor Strange, whether it's Thor Ragnarok, Endgame, Infinity War. Send us your comments. Let us know what you thought of your criticisms, and we'll be reading your comments out on our audio portion of the podcast. We have a lot of fun reading that out. Let us know your name and where you're from. We'd love to acknowledge where you're from. And of course, we'll be reviewing the rest of the Marvel Netflix shows. So send us your emails on that too. We only got a few more left. So, which is just Daredevil season 3, Jessica Jones season 3. So let us know your thoughts. We'll love to hear from you. But with that, I am Ray.
I'm Evie.
We'll talk to you next week. Take care.